And we get back up to the room. We like start to walk in, and we have a neurologist, an oncologist, an endocrinologist, our general practitioner, and then a nurse. So our room is full. We just got the procedure done. Like usually, like how long till the test comes in?
Yeah.
They're all
you're
there.
Wheeled up and they're sitting in the room waiting for you.
Gang's all here.
All the ologists.
Mm-hmm, all the ologists.
Here's the deal. We're two moms and we popped babies out in our 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's hard.
it was hard.
It's also the best thing that's ever happened to either one of us, I think.
Yeah, but now we're moms in our 40s.
In our 40s.
With preschoolers.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Let's bring the community together of women and let's talk about like real shit, real life, real women shit.
Yeah, real women shit. Let's do that.
Shit's hard. And also it's funny.
Cheers. I'm filtered.
Because if you want a show, we're a shit show. We're here for you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Cal.
Hi, it's Megs too.
Welcome to Mature-ish Mamas.
Here we are.
Episode number something.
Number something to talk about.
We could sing that one a lot.
We
but
could.
It's such a
Let's
good
get
song.
something to talk about.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that the last episode we did the one like this.
Oh, that's right.
This is sometimes we don't remember what we talk about, so we have to go back and do the review.
I rarely remember what we talk about. Sometimes it feels like an out of body experience when we're in here.
Somebody ripped on me because I couldn't find my car when I messaged you the other day. And they're like, yeah, right. Like you couldn't find your car. And I was like, how is that hard to believe? Like our brains can't remember what we just said.
I can't find my car in smaller parking lots than you lost your car in.
Yeah, that was a big parking lot.
Yeah.
And I go there a lot. So like...
And it's not like you lost it. You just thought it was somewhere. And then there was like 5 others of the same cars.
Yeah, well, and it was on the other side of the entire... It might have been 100 yards from where I parked. But that's okay.
But you go every day, right?
Yeah.
Almost every day.
Yeah.
So maybe the day before you parked over there.
This isn't like a new thing, you guys. Once when we were little, I remember with my mom, we were coming out of some department store. We put in the key. You guys, we used to in like an actual key. We get in the car, we sit down, and we all look around. And we're like, not our car, not our car. And we all frantically get out and go to our car, which the key also worked for.
I know, isn't that feels so 80s.
It was probably like a Buick Skylark or something.
Oh, totally. They're like, we make 3 keys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and they're all like just green cars.
Yeah.
And you just... And they have tissues. We don't have tissues. Let's go grab ours.
Yeah,
right. That's basically how it went. So,
that's funny.
We do forget things, and mom brain is a thing. We talked about that.
100%.
Sucks your brain out.
It all the time. I mean, how can someone not think that you could not remember? I leave a room and walk into the next room, and I forget why I'm there.
Why am I here?
Why did I come into this room? And that was even before I had mom brain. Now it's even worse.
Yeah.
Now it's like on the way to the room. I'm like, where am I?
What? I'm like, why don't I know what
home.
to do with my hands? And then you like talk about being a geriatric mom. Now we're old and we have babies.
Yeah, old. So we got perimenopausal brain fog. We got mom brain. We got 15,000 million thoughts running through our head every day. We have distractions.
Yep.
And we have just regular 40-year-old
stuff,
brains.
That was a lot.
And yeah,
no wonder.
I
think we're doing a podcast. That's where we're at.
Oh yeah.
Hey guys.
Shoot, hi.
So now that we've cleared that up, that we're mom brains, let's chat about life.
We've been talking about a lot of things. And it's been fun and it's been really cool because like I like that we always start out just not knowing what the hell we're going to do. And then we just started doing something and it's like, this is going in a really neat direction. So let's just continue talking about it.
Yeah.
And what's cool is like along those ways that we've already started, we've sprinkled in little bits and pieces of our life. And so you guys could kind of get to know us a little bit. But one thing that's been sprinkled in continuously, I feel like in most episodes, is Cal's journey with her youngest son, which Whitten, you've heard his name. And we thought, how cool would it be to talk about that just specifically today, to share that story with you guys, share it with me. I have never even heard the whole thing.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be amazing. And grab some tissues maybe, because if you're a feeler, there's some highs and some lows in this story. And we just really wanted to share it. We wanted you guys to know us and get to know where our hearts and souls come from when we talk to you guys about all this stuff. And hopefully that talking about these things, these hard, difficult, challenging parts of our life can help to open that up for someone else to maybe find hope and love and joy, or even resources to help you. So we're going to talk about Whitten John's journey today, his survival journey of just...
Elsie, I know, it's all the things. It's the words that we don't she's like, I'm already starting. It's okay. We can cry.
I brought tissues today, so.
I have only told, I feel like, the entire story I was telling Megs on other podcasts. So this would be the first time to actually share, even though I in my own life and my own social media, it's all over the place. And I do educate about the diseases a lot, but like going from the beginning to end it's a journey.
It's a journey. We're going to be on this journey with you today.
Okay.
Really excited.
Okay. So I'm going to be a talker.
Yep. It's all you, girl. I might interject with some questions.
I like it.
And if I start ugly crying, just pause.
We can do a dance party if we need to. No, I don't think there'll be a lot of that. Just if you guys are like, ooh, because for me, I think the biggest piece and takeaway of my story is, although it's challenging, the perspective reveals miracles is what evolved from our journey, and really supporting people with the fact that even during some very challenging times, you can find survival through some different tactics. So
totally. And if I do start crying, it's definitely tears of joy because of
here right
the space we're in right now. Yeah. So
okay.
Go.
So Woody John, we already explained how he came back into the world, and he's just this really cool little human. But in June of 2022, we noticed a couple different things. Number one, he was toddling around like a toddler. I thought it was like a toddler. My dad was like, "What? Whitten's walking funny, right?" I'm like, I mean, he's a toddler. Like, he's like bull-legged, like a little cowboy.
How old is he at this point?
He's 19 months.
19 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's marching around, and
they walk with their hips at that age. Like they don't bend their knees yet.
Yeah. And now I watch a video, and he's definitely like the one-legged cowboy, and like he's definitely. He's been riding a horse and got maybe a little injury on one of the legs. So didn't notice these things until I go back to the videos. And then he started just peeing all the time. And when he was in this stage, I'm like, he's probably ready to potty train. Like, what, he's a 19-month-old boy.
Totally ready.
Totally. That's exactly when boys potty train.
Just for reference, Caston is 3 and he's not potty trained.
Not interested. Yeah. Not interested. No.
So he's like, go ahead and wipe my butt still, Mama.
Yeah. That's fine, Mama. I'm going to bend over right now. Mm-hmm. Give me. So we just bought out the little potty, and we were outside. It was summer. So we were just on our property running around, and he's just peeing all over the place. So I have no recognition of actually how often it is. Mm-hmm. And my brain is still in this potty trained brain. Mm-hmm. But it happens to be probably every 20 minutes he's peeing. So great opportunity to pee in the toilet. Easy peasy.
Well, I mean, if you have potty trained children, and there's these little techniques, one is to put them on the toilet every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But also when you're in that space, of course you're not thinking anything. It makes sense that you were thinking,
we're potty training.
We're potty training.
Yeah. But it started to get a little excessive. So we went to the doctors.
Every 20 minutes.
Yeah. We go to the doctors, and she's just basically confirmed what we were thinking. That does seem to be what it is. It was interesting because he had to do a pee test. He actually had to go and give him his urine sample. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, how do you, for an 18-month-old, 19-month-old to get a pee test or a urine test? They're like, what do we want to do? We'll get some cotton balls so we can try to catch, or we can, because you're trying to figure out when this kid's going to pee. And I was like, oh, no, we'll just go to the bathroom and pee. And they're like, that's not how it works but it is.
It is.
We just walked in the door, walked in there. I freaked out.
Because he pees so much.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, buddy, pee in this cup. Pees in the cup. Come out. And here's your urine. And they're like, okay, that was weird. Do our blood sample.
He's exceptional.
I know. So I don't know if you knew my child's really advanced or he has a rare disease. Either one, it's going to be special. That's where we're at. So we end up, she's like, everything's fine. All the blood work's fine. Go to Mexico. We had this trip for my daughter's senior high school.
Graduation.
Yes. So we go to Mexico, and it was awful. The trip was, it was great. The big kids had fun. They did their thing. But for me and John, our experience, and we didn't know what's going on yet, but he was like at the height of coming to these multiple diseases I'm going to share in a second. And he was, I mean, at least we were in Mexico, so he was just peeing all over the place because you're in Mexico, you can pee in the pool all the time, you know? And he's like asking for frozen drinks or water, and we're just like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, bro, grab a virgin daiquiri.
Yeah, it's hot out.
And pee and eat ice the whole time. And like some of my friends that were holding him, I'm like, did he just pee? And you're like, there. You're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, he does that a lot. It's fine. Just like, and they're like, it's cool. I'm just gonna jump in the pool anyways. Like, he's peeing all over. And I look at these little like pictures. I go back and like the naps that he was taking in the stroller, and we take turns going back. But this is the height of it.
Like the peak of the
yes
symptoms.
Yeah, and it was, so we're going to bed at night, and you don't even want to drink the water in Mexico. Like, you're kind of fearful of it.
Like, out of the faucet?
Well, just, I mean, I'm just still
anywhere.
scared of the bottles. Like, I had some bad experience. But, like, you get used to it. You figure it out. So we would get 4 of those 2-liter bottles before we go to bed, and we only had, like, 4 sippy cups. So we'd fill up all the sippy cups just of water, and he would wake up and drink all of those throughout the night. And it got to be like, there was this one night where like he starts in the crib, he drinks, he pees the bed, then he barfs in the thing. So I move him over with me, and then like this like pee barf, and him and I are sleeping in one bed, like basically just like moving around, getting our space tinier and tinier and tinier until we're like
around the pee barf.
Yeah, because there's nothing like at this point, there's not even a strategy to try to clean up the stuff that's happening.
Because it's happening so often. And are you thinking now that he's barfing, are you like, maybe he's sick, or maybe it's the water, or?
I'm just like, I need to get, like, I cannot wait to get home. Something is freaking happening. This is
not right.
This is not good.
And little mommy spidey senses are like tingling.
Yeah. But then we got to finish up the trip. We got to get home. So we're getting on we had brought like 2 of those huge packs of Costco diapers. We're through all of them. We got to get on the plane to get home. And it's like, we just got to, I guess, buy some at the airport. So we buy like 10 diapers, barely gets us through the flight home, the 2.5-hour flight home. So we go through a full pack of diapers, get home. That day, John Carroll has to fly to California for something he had going on. So I call the doctor. I'm like, something just doesn't feel right. We go in, same exact thing. All the tests, everything looks good. And I post on my social media, one of the reasons why I love social media, I'm like, guys, this just doesn't feel right. Like something.
Can I ask one question? Sorry to interrupt. What testing are they doing at this point at the doctor?
Just the urine analysis and blood work.
So, and looking for just something off.
Something off.
Okay, nothing specific really.
Yeah.
Okay.
And everything's perfect. Because when you're that overhydrated, there's nothing in your body.
Sure.
Like, so everything looks perfect because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
You know? And when I posted, there were multiple people who commented about a disease called diabetes insipidus. Like, you guys, your social world is so amazing because I love our doctor, but they might not be in the same space. They haven't seen all of the different things. And there's a mama out there and she's seen this. She knows, she's commenting on it. Like, Cal, you got to go get checked. You need to take him in right away, which is awesome.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like doctors sometimes also come from a place of ruling out instead of ruling in. So it's like, okay, here's the first set of ruling out.
Yeah.
No, it's not this.
Yep.
Here's the set. Like, it can take quite a long time to get any kind of diagnosis.
Yeah.
But something so rare, I can't even imagine if you didn't have that.
Right.
People in your face saying, you need this.
You need to go in. Yeah. And so at that point, like, I demanded that we go in and do this water deprivation test. And from what I had talked to from the nurses I knew, they're like, you know what? It's not a big deal. You just go in. If he has this thing called DI or diabetes insipidus, which, by the way, now it's called arginine vasopressin deficiency because people kept getting confused with diabetes insipidus and diabetes mellitus. So sugar diabetes versus water diabetes, like that's actually like a thing.
Yeah.
So she's like, I would just go in and you'll just get a pill. And like, it's just that, there you go. I'm like, okay, cool. So John's out of town. I pack up my stroller with our little potty because, we're going to have to potty however many times. And I got my, like, a couple bags of stuff and I just go rolling solo. My parents are out of town. I don't even know where where Quincy went. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's probably like a recurring thing.
He probably just stayed home.
He's probably just said, well,
he's like, Mom, I got this. I'll just put Blippi on for about 12 hours.
Yeah. Just, I'll be home tomorrow, baby.
Here's popcorn and chips and
snackies. Yeah. So I go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's just to like show the mental capacity, the space that you are in at that moment. Like,
yeah.
I mean, of course he was taken care of. Of course somebody's here with him, but you can't even, from that time to where you are now, all the things that you went through, it's like,
the moments that I didn't even have space for, you know?
You couldn't. You
No.
can't. Yeah.
So I'm going in, well, he like shits all over on the way there, and then I'm cleaning up barf and pee, and hey guys, it's fine. We have kids. Did you guys know that? They're down there.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine. So we get to the hospital, we go to this water deprivation test. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. So I think it actually would be helpful if I just describe ABPD or DI to understand what the test was like. So when you have this disease, your body won't hold water. So your pituitary in your brain produces a hormone called ADH, and that stops you from peeing so that your body can store water and you can use it, which we need. We're like over 50% water, 60% water. So you're utilizing that water, but he couldn't do that. So everything that he would drink would just come out. Now we know why he was drinking 2 gallons a day and peeing all the time, because he couldn't hold it, which just means his body just started getting sicker and sicker
More
and sicker.
dehydrated and
Yeah.
That's why he's starting to puke and diarrhea or whatever.
Yeah, because then you're trying to drink so fast, you're waterlogging yourself. So everything's like coming out all over the place. And so when you do this test, they stop giving them water, which their bodies aren't holding any water. So it's like, I think it takes, like 3 days to dehydrate to death?
Yes, 3 days.
So for them, like that's a very
like,
shortened
and it's
experience.
torture.
So basically, like you're dehydrating them to the point of...
A brink of death.
Yes, it was awful.
Your 20-month-old baby.
And it was, yes. So we're in the hospital, and they're like, okay, so what we're going to do, like we turn off the water in your room because you will get desperate and start to like try to get water.
I would.
Yeah. And we hit all cups. And then my mom, thank God for my mom, like she just got her mom's Spidey bug. And she was like, she's cut her trip short. They drove home from their camping trip that they were out on, and she shows up at the hospital and she gets there just for the test. So we got to support each other in staying up all night. And what they did is, of course there's all the other hospital things, the pokes and the needles and the whatever stuff, but they would test every 30 minutes where his like water levels was, do multiple tests. And so we're watching for a certain number to come up. And meanwhile, we are just struggle busing through the night. So at like around 3:34 in the morning, they figure it out. Like he does have diabetes insipidus, which we're like relief. Now he gets to have water. The most heartbreaking video, insert here, which I actually can do, of him getting his first drink of water.
Are you all done? Yes, you're all done. I haven't. No, it's not done. Do I have your water? Yay! Thank you.
Thank you.
You having some water? Oh man.
Like, so this is when he finally was reintroduced to it. He yacked all of that up instantly because he was
just
so thirsty.
chugging it down.
And then I go out, so I'm finally getting some coffee. Like we're kind of just taking a little bit of turns to have some space, my mom and I. And as I'm coming back to the room, the doctor meets me right at the door. And he's like, so you know that he has diabetes insipidus. And oh, by the way, they had to get him to pee one more time, and he couldn't pee at this point because of the situation, because they'd started, I don't even know why. But then they had to flip and catheterize him, like at the end of all of it. And this little baby boy, like, I mean, it was...
How traumatic for everyone involved.
Everyone was freaking awful. So I'm at the door, and the doctor's like, so you know he has diabetes insipidus? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you know what that means? And I was like, like I think he just takes a pill or something. And he's like, well,
sure. Well, you hear diabetes and you think that's manageable.
Yeah.
Because, people take insulin or whatever. Yeah.
give us some sort of drug.
Yeah.
Pause.
Okay.
I just gotta make us both a little bit. Okay.
Oh, in the thing. Okay.
Just felt like I was over there. And he's like, well, no, Cal, he didn't call me Cal. He didn't know my name.
No,
was
Cal.
No, my little cowbell, my little one. It's like that is most likely means that there's a tumor. And that's what caused the pituitary to stop working, because you'd get DI from getting brain surgery and the doctor cutting something wrong, or generally you have a tumor. So I'm like, okay,
So he stops you right outside this door. And
my mom and my baby are on the other side.
inside. Mm-hmm. You're by yourself. And that's where he decides to have this conversation. Looking back, how did that make you feel? Like, I mean, I feel like that you were bombarded, or almost like it's like an attack.
It was such a blessing.
Good.
It was like I couldn't walk into that room. So like my mom and I have different emotional strengths. And so as soon as I knew, I'm like, I can't tell her yet. Like, I don't know how, like, plus then my baby's right there. He's just now like starting to be able to breathe and feel like he's giving like life again. So I take myself out to the waiting room and like prepare myself, like first, like a couple deep breaths. And I call John Carroll and like, babe, it's not good. And he's like, I don't know if you even remembered that I was having the test. I mean, like, it was kind of like we were just in the hospital doing something easy. We were going to get some pills.
Because you guys had no idea how. Yeah.
It's 4 or 5 in the morning. And I'm like, they think there's a tumor in his brain. So he breaks down, starts bawling. I haven't seen my husband cry very many times. And he's like, okay, I'm coming home. I'm going to get on a plane. And this is just like such an interesting side note here. Like usually my brain would be like, how the hell are we going to need like last minute flight? Like we can't just do that. And there's nothing in the world aside from this baby. There's no worry aside from just trying to protect and be there for him.
Right.
So as soon as this happens, he's coming home. So now I'm still sitting there. And the only thing that I knew to do at this point was to start saying thank you, because I was going to lose my shit if I didn't. And when you have to like, the first thank you is to thank, a lot of tears, it's going to be good. To thank God for giving you this little being in your life, and you know that he's his. And I thank you for the last 18 months, 20 months, because I didn't know what any of that meant. So just having to just have this gratitude in my heart for having the time with him and just say like, thank you, God. And when he's yours, I hope you don't take him right now, but I know that he's yours. And that's just, where I started. And then I went to, thank you for the doctors. Thank you for this test that's over. Thank you that he's drinking water right now. Thank you that we're going to start finding solutions. Thank you for my mom being back here. Thank you for John getting on a plane, to just be able to breathe. Like in those times when we talk about gratitude and perspective on here, to just have the ability to not crawl into a corner and wall up. And like that was not an option. I needed to go take care of my baby,
And he needed you. Yeah. He needed you too. Mm-hmm. So you're right. It is not an option. And to be able to, I'm having a really hard time even like wrapping my head around standing in that space, because I don't think it's just like anything else where it's like, you just don't know until you know, until you're there, until it's happening to you. And to go from thinking he's sick, oh, he might have this diabetes, oh, now he's like has a tumor, and now I'm alone, and then saying, sit down and say thank you, Cal.
This is what we're training people for.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And it literally is life-changing. Yeah. And you're right. And it's because you as a mom, you are the rock. You are the support for everyone. For just like your mom was for you. She was still, I mean, just kudos to your mom too, she's still your mom. So here she is saying, I'm going to take care of my baby while you take care of your baby.
That was a hard part of her whole journey. Like just watching her double hurt.
Because now she's got you. And anyways.
Yeah. So I go back in, I tell my mom, fast forward a little bit, John gets on a plane. He barely gets there. They schedule an MRI. And then the next 3 days were just pure fucking hell. So like, that's just the only way to express it, full of gratitude in the cracks and like trying to remember to eat something or like just to do life, because he had to keep going under anesthesia. Because he had to get they had to do an MRI, and babies can't sit for an MRI. They had to do a CAT scan. They can't sit for that. They had to take bone marrow from his hip, from the part where he was limping around. So every single time they did, they have to go NPO, nothing per oral. So now he doesn't get to drink for the next 4 hours, and we don't have his medication figured out yet. He just has started this baby amount. So every single time he just thought he was going to die. His little baby being thought he was going to die. And then we just keep pulling water. So over and over again, he's experiencing this, and we're trying to support him going through that. And it was a really challenging time. And then at the end of it, So I come back from the first MRI. This is a couple different, like, I feel like important parts of the story. Come back from the very first MRI. John had got there in time. They wouldn't let him go back with me. I don't know why. So I have this like another just like moment where he's screaming for an hour because you have to allow for the pet, like the juice, the whatever, the reactive green juice in your body when you get a PET scan to go through his little body.
Yeah.
So I'm holding him. He's just screaming unbearably, like, I want my daddy. I want my daddy.
Daddy.
And we finally get him to like go under. The first time you put your baby under anesthesia is always awful. I don't care if they're 18 months or 20, like nobody likes doing that.
No.
And we get back up to the room. We like start to walk in and we have a neurologist, an oncologist, an endocrinologist, our general practitioner, and then a nurse. So our room is full. We just got the procedure done. Like usually, like how long till the test comes in?
Yeah.
They're all
you're
there.
Wheeled up and they're sitting in the room waiting for you.
Gang's all here.
All the ologists.
All the ologists. And I can still feel it in my body, some of these things that I need to and get to release at some point. But like I did not, like that was one of those moments where I'm like, okay, like I had to hand Whitten off. I'm like, John, I can't stand. Like I'm about to pass out. And then I sit in the chair, like in the actual hospital bed, while he's holding on to Whitten. And the oncologist, she's standing next to the wall and she just like slides down the wall and sits down and just is like, okay. Very, very good and supportive bedside manner to let us know we were dealing with something serious. And also she had so much empathy and was working with us. It was a great approach. And the whole like long story of that piece of it, or long story short, is she's like, he's going to be okay, but your world will never be the same. Those are the words she said. I think she even wrote it on the like, he will survive, he will be okay, but your world will never be the same. It's like the cancer that he has is called LCH, Langerhans Cell Histiocytosis, affects him, I think like 1 in 200,000 people. So there's not a lot of people with it, but 98% survival rate or somewhere around there. It's just that it's not curable. So you might have to go in for chemo and treatments and have the adverse responses of being in a chemo world for that long.
Yeah, and treatment.
Yeah, and the diabetes insipidus never goes away. So this is, we didn't know yet, but she said, we think because of everything, this is probably what he has, but we're not sure yet. It could still be a number of other things. Go home and we'll talk to you on the 5th of July. Just go enjoy your holiday, be with the family. And I know that's like, I see that, like there's the eye roll Megan's given, but it's also, that's a truth, because we weren't sure if that's what it was. Yeah. We didn't know how much time we have. We should go home and enjoy our family. Yeah. And that's all you can do. Was I going to go home and pout and cry the whole time? Or was I going to go home and be with my bigs, the littles, we tried to watch some fireworks, tried to do whatever we could just to be present and make some beautiful memories. And we did that.
Amazing. Yeah.
We did it,
Great.
And then on the night before we were supposed to go back to the hospital, Whitten's sodium was off. We were testing his sodium. So now we have to go to the hospital like all the time. He's getting, all of a sudden he's like, why are you guys poking me everywhere all the time? We have a lot of stickers on our fridge because of it now. So we're going in, we're getting poked. They're like, his sodium's too low. So the thing with diabetes insipidus or ABPD is that if your water is mismanaged, there's risk if your sodium levels change. So if it's too high, you can have a seizure and get very injured. If it's too low, you can have a seizure. So like it's putting you into a very volatile and dangerous state if you don't manage your sodium correctly. And we were trying to balance him out during that time. So it dropped. So they bring us back in. And so we go, this time I got John Carroll with me. We've got all of our blankets. We know what we're doing. We were just in the hospital for, a week.
Right.
And we walk in. This is, I think, one of the very first videos I talked about, like being a children's hospital family. Yep. Now we've got more confidence in it. And John's like, checking in for our second stay. Yeah. And like on floor 7 at a children's in Denver, the oncology floor, they're like, what? Like, we're telling jokes right now? We're like, this is, we gotta manage ourselves. Yep. And they received it, but I think they were just like taken back. Like, this is
sure,
serious?
because I'm sure that's not how most people show up to those types of things. I'm sure that the overwhelming feeling of fear and dread and just unknowing just doesn't show up usually with like a joke.
Yeah.
But
We're here
It
for
can.
Can we have the suite? Can we have the suite this time?
We're looking for the oncology suite.
Yeah. Where is that?
Does it have a sweetheart tub?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I need a jacuzzi tub in it this time, please. Yeah. We won't be drinking water that much again, so we'll need something to comfort us.
So we like to sit in it instead.
So we go to our appointment. They do diagnose him with LCH. So now we're going to start creating a plan of action. And
Fantastic.
meanwhile, his DI is not under control at all. They keep us in the hospital for like another week. Meanwhile, like my son is over at Grandma and Grandpa's again. It's just like this really volatile, weird space to be.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was wondering about that, how you were feeling like, I mean, thank God for family support, friend support, like, and all of that. But it's like, how do you manage, even emotionally as the mom? You have 4 kids. Mm-hmm. You have 3 other children. I mean, I know 2 of them are older, but that doesn't mean
still
that
at
they're
home.
They're your children.
Yeah. They're your dog. They're your children. Sorry, road trip, guys. That's a movie reference. So, but really, like, number one, we're in reaction mode. So like, we're just doing what we have to do. But the gratitude I was doing at that point, this like thankfulness that was like settling deep within my heart, is the fact that somehow we filed bankruptcy in our house. We lost multiple homes. We couldn't rent a house. I had a concussion, so I couldn't think clearly enough to not move into my parents' house, because all of that had to happen for us to end up buying this property, building a barn dominium on our property so that we actually live with my mom and stepdad, and we're this one big family unit. And Quincy is like Grandpa Scott's, like, he's never had his own, he has not birthed his own son. So like, Quincy has really been his little counterpart.
Oh, they are so much alike. And their connection is incredible.
Unbelievable.
It's so cute.
And because of that, when we would go to bed at night and then Whitten would spike a fever and we're gone, we would just carry little sleeping Whitten over to Grandma and Grandpa's, and he would wake up and his parents were gone again for a week. Yeah. Like, that is hard enough, and we're definitely going to have to fight through some trauma and do some things for him, but also the fact that it was right there, and it's somebody who loves and cares for him, and who he, like, how perfect, like, that God had been doing. It took him a decade to set us up for the situation. And then I think about, like, he had introduced me to personal development and to things like that, and to my becoming, and to gratitude, and to meditation and breath work and all of these different things, like 10 years prior. Yeah. So that by the time my baby was diagnosed with cancer, I was ready.
You were ready. You were well versed and practiced and could use it in the actual time when you actually needed it. Yeah. Like the most time you would ever need it.
Isn't that wild?
And you were ready for it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It is. And I can't not give gratitude for that, because this was part of our journey. This is what our souls signed up for, both Whitten and me, which that took me a little while to like get on board with. But I really do believe like this is the journey we're meant to live. And I think part of that is me speaking about this, sharing about it, so people can hopefully receive adversity a little bit differently, because it didn't stop there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, yeah.
You know? So I don't know if you have questions or want me to keep.
I'm like, I want you to keep talking and keep telling us. Yeah. And I mean, okay, I just keep going, because sometimes I have questions and then we just blow right through it. And then sometimes you already answered it.
Yeah,
so
I know. And maybe, yeah. So
here, Quincy gets to be loved by his grandparents, who are steps away from his home, in the midst of you really needing to focus on Whitten. And then what about Jason Kenzie?
They were in a pretty good space of their own.
Because how old are they at this?
16 and 18.
Great.
Almost 16 and 18. So they're like, Jace is doing his thing. He's, actually he turned 16 the day before Whitten's diagnosis.
Okay.
So I think, I don't know, maybe the kids hurt in different ways, but he's just like really rolling with it. When we came home, they're both so loving. I just have all of these videos. I captured so many memories of them just being with each other. And then Kinsey she had thought she was going to go out of state for college, but through all of this, thankfully, somehow in her heart, she was just like, Mom, I think I need to be closer to home. So she was preparing to go to college. So they're both occupied.
Which is normal for that time of life for all teenagers.
It's exactly what we needed.
It's exactly, yeah.
And I know that
perfectly.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I know, right? And their hearts still, I mean, obviously went through a lot of emotional different things, but they were able to show up for the family with a different type of strength.
Which is amazing.
And peace. Yeah.
And they still do. I
do.
see it. That shines through both of those kids.
It does.
Yeah. They're incredible.
Oh my gosh. So this is like just the beginning of our trying to figure out what we were doing. I would say like the first 2 months I spent every day tracking like a madman. I had all this different paperwork trying to figure out, I had to measure how much he'd drink and how much he'd pee. So inputs and outputs like all day, and then try to manage his medication. And we started his first type of chemo, which was pretty easy. We only went in like on a Monday, and then so just once a week he would get chemo. We did that for 6 weeks, and things just weren't working. Like things didn't feel right. And I started reaching out again on social media. I joined some different groups, and I never thought like back in the day, like groups would be so supportive, but there's LCH groups, there's DI groups. So I'm reaching out, and I'm finding one other mom. I ended up finding two.
What an incredible resource though. Like to think back before social media, a lot of people give social media like a bad rap, and there's not great parts about it for sure.
Right.
But like what an incredible resource. Like think of if this was happening for our moms, they would have had just the people around them, the closest thing that they could drive to, it's like, but here you can just
find people,
and then there's like, here,
connections.
Here, bing, 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 bing. Let me help. Here's my story. Here's what I'm going through. Here are the doctors that we found.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is what happened, because I think his case, because of the two combined diseases, it's 1 in a million. So there's not a lot of people who are experiencing.
He is 1 in a million, though, man.
My little dude. That's what I'm going to call this, 1 in a million. So I talked to this mom down in Texas, and she's like, hey, do you want to give me a call? And she walked me through so much. It was so supportive, but she did direct me to find a specialist down in Texas. So we ended up seeing the specialist, because our specialist here, he's the one here that's designated as it, but like this guy, this is what he does. And since there's not very many cases, we went down to Texas, met with him. But what ended up happening is we had to move off of that chemo because that was messing up his second disease. That chemo was jacking with his DI, and that's why I couldn't manage it. That's why I was tracking all the things, and I'm trying to figure it out. And he's just like miserable for water. They wanted us to, they wanted us. They, in my heart, made us restrict water for like 3 months after that. So that same feeling that we had at the hospital, we were going through, because they're like, well, no, he can only have 20 ounces of water a day. I'm like, he's fucking miserable all day. So we spent every day trying to entertain him, like dance, monkey, dance, just trying to get him anywhere distracted so he's trying not to drink water. But as it turned out, we were medicating him with like 1 milligram and 2 milligrams. Right now he's taking up to like 9 a day.
9 milligrams?
Yeah, he was way under medicated. So of course he was miserable.
Yeah, because
it's awful.
Just think about how you feel when you're thirsty. Like say you go for a run.
Yeah.
And you come back and it's like, oh my gosh, and you just want to chug water. To feel like that 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like literally, because he probably would wake up in the night even because he's so thirsty.
Yeah, he stopped sleeping at night. This is when he started sleeping with us, because he had to drink, and he was still like peeing so many times. So he's like peeing through the bed for years.
Yeah.
But you're right. The way that the adults explain it in the group, the DI is, it's like, take that scenario, but put you in a desert where it's 120 degrees, and then you just ran a marathon. That's what it feels like when they have thirst. Like the memes are hilarious, but they're just like, somebody drinking out of one of those 5-gallon water jugs, filled up, or they have like 10 of those in their fridge.
Yeah.
Like that's what their bodies feel like. So trying to learn to manage that disease when we were mismanaging medication and chemo was super challenging. So we switched to a new chemo, and this one I administered at home. I was the chemo nurse.
Wow, interesting.
Yes, I know. I was a little nervous about that.
I didn't realize that you could even do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could either go in every single day for 5 days, because he had to have it 5 days in a row.
Okay.
Or they just gave him like a little straw, kind of, is how I'd explain it. And then all I had to do was stick the chemo into that area. So we would like set up our little clean area, and then I didn't have to actually poke him, because the hole was already there.
It's like a port in his arm, kind of, but not a real port. But
yeah. So I was his chemo nurse for the next couple rounds, couple months. And then we went back in for scans. Of course, now we're going NPO. All of that's horrible every time, just really hard.
So during his chemo treatment, how is he reacting to that? I mean, is he having regular chemo reactions, throwing up, feeling like crap, like
a little bit? I would say during this stage, he had very little. I mean, he was tired. He didn't want to do much. But in terms of like, we tried to limit our exposure to germs and
outside,
things a little bit. But he was pretty normal. It was the DI that sucked during these first 2.5, 3 months.
Okay.
Because we couldn't manage that. So we were always at home just measuring urine and drinking water.
Yeah.
I feel like that was like our life for quite a while. And this is just like a funny side note. I had thought, like, I stopped working the second I was in the hospital. And it's like, you know what? I'll start working again. This is the 22nd of June. I'm like, I'll start working in August. Like, of course, I'll start working. Like, it just kept thinking like, this isn't going to be like a forever thing, because I kind of have like a work addiction. As a little addicted to work.
Yeah, she likes to work.
I know, I do.
She's good at it.
I enjoy it. So meanwhile, now we're scheduled for our scans. In October, we go back and we're going to see what these 2 types of chemo are doing. And we go in and then we get our results back. And by this time, I'd gotten pretty good at reading like the My Chart messages. And John and I read them. We're like, this is not good. This is not good. So we go in and they're like, did you have a chance to look? I'm like, doesn't look like it's good. Nope. 5 new tumors. So he had one. I didn't even explain this moment. So he had one in his pituitary, one in his skull. There was actually a hole in his skull. Like it's still there. But it's like I don't know, coupled like a dollar size coin, not a quarter, that big of a soft part in a skull.
So was the tumor actually on the bone?
On the bone, not in his brain.
That's why the skull couldn't grow there.
Right.
That's why there's a hole. Okay.
Yeah. And then in the pituitary, it hadn't actually affected his brain, just the pituitary, that, and then there was a big one in his hip, which is why he was walking around like John Wayne. That made sense.
Yep.
Way to go, Grandpa. He knows John Wayne. He watches his cowboy movies. He knew what was going on. Yep.
That's right.
Yeah. So that was the first 3. When we did this scan, he ended up having another one in his femur, his bicep, his rib, and his pubic bone. And then like some of the biggest memories that popped out to me was doing another video, because I've been doing like live videos for a long time, and just it's a lot of therapy for me to be able to talk and get support. So, and it's like nobody had to listen to it. I could just like share what was going on in my heart. And I did a video called "Thank You for the Tumors." We talked about that what you resist persists just recently in our energy work, and just realizing that there's a lesson that they're providing for us, and just asking for that lesson to be received so we can move through this, and that they could heal themselves and leave. Like, thank you for the lesson. Also, you are free to go now.
Yes. Yeah. Got it.
So I had to contact the specialist again after this point. So we find the 5 new tumors, and he ends up having a meeting with us. We flew down to Texas, which was not fun with a neutropenic baby. But that's just one of the things. So that's where your like numbers are super low. Yeah. Be on a plane.
It's not fun to be on a plane with young kids anyways. So I can't imagine
what that was like. But this was actually after that. So he let us know. He's like, you know what? You guys need to move to 3rd string chemo. It's really, really aggressive. Some kids cannot handle it, but it's what we need to do next. And there's basically 2 different types of specialists that do 2 different things. We went with this guy, and he's like, but the good thing is that the recurrence rate, instead of being like, I don't want to get this wrong, I think it's like 55% recurrence for your other types of chemo, it goes down to like 10 or 15%. So
for recurrence of new tumors?
Mm-hmm. Since it's not curable, right? So that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
So right before Halloween, it's actually on his 2nd birthday. Second. That's when they schedule his first chemo, of course.
Happy birthday to you.
We go in, we make him a little shirt, it's my birthday. They bring him a cake. And in the hospital. And this is what I thought chemo was going to look like, because so far we've just gone on and getting shots, or I've done it at home. But this is where we go in, they hook him up to the drip. We actually had to do surgery for the port first. Another NPO event for us. Love that. Wow. Went in and they would do anti-nausea drips. So you're there for maybe 7 hours or so, and you do it for 5 days in a row. So we go into our first day, and Like honestly, like he did so good. And I looked up a couple videos. There were only a couple of like these kids getting this clofarabine, like playing like swords in the hospital. I'm like, how does that even happen? But we're going for walks around the hospital. We brought sort of like all sorts of toys. We really found our chemo flow, of course, because then you wake up the next day, you go back, the next day you go back, the next day you go back. So like for 5 days in a row, you're hooked to this pole. Watched a lot of movies, did a lot of arts and crafts, had a lot of different people who could go with us to experience that together. He slept sometimes, not very often, but like we found our flow. The first one though, we had no idea those first 2 chemos, how you asked me how he was like showing up.
Yes.
This was completely different.
It was.
You take as many barf bags as you can, because when we leave, there is a good chance he's going to barf on the way home. There's a good chance he's going to barf on the way to the hospital the next day. So we had to like change his different anti-nausea medications slightly. They have so many meds to support with this now, which is neat.
It is.
Of course, then you can't poop, so you have to take a medication for that. So you're always taking something, always chasing the meds.
Yeah. So are you guys, are you guys staying, when you say home and 2 back, are you in a hotel, or is it is it like a hospital thing?
So we did it in Denver. We specialized.
Okay.
So we would do consultations with our guy in Texas, and then we did treatments here.
So treatment was here in Colorado. Okay.
And a lot of kids, they do hospitalize the whole week. They don't want them to go home. In Denver, they let us go home.
Great.
So that was cool.
I feel like that's supportive. It's nice to be at home.
Yeah. And his little port was already accessed, so we just had to be really careful not to have him too dirty. Like the picture of him down on the wall where he's covered in mud and dirt. And then he's got his port like taped up. I'm like, I'm a good mom. I mean, like eventually you just got to figure out what works for you.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're big supporters of that.
Yep.
Just do what works for you.
Do what works for you.
And that was working. And he also is a kid, and he has to be a kid, and he has to find his own fun and joy in all of this as well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, as a child, maybe you don't have to find it as hard. It's not as hard to find.
Right. It's there for your taking if you have the energy to take it.
Yes,
and
but he needed.
Yeah, he did.
So I feel like being at home is a big support for that.
It was good. And it made it more manageable for us. So we'd go back and forth. But the first round we finish, and apparently like your numbers, the lowest, like your most neutropenic, like around 7 to like day 15. So afterwards, and we're going to get our blood work done. And we have my brother, my sister-in-law, my nephews come in for Halloween. We're all in the barn decorating. They had just traveled on a plane to come here. We're all decorating. We have other people come over. Then we go, we had just shaved his little head because in the like 4th treatment is when he really started scratching his head, and you could see that his hair was starting to change. And like a lot of people just say it's painful to lose it. So we just shaved his little noggin. So we go trick-or-treating, of course, and he's grew because he's bald. Oh. And we're all minions.
I love it.
We were already going to be minions. So we go out trick-or-treating. He's in a wagon. He doesn't feel that great. Okay, long story short, that was way too many humans because we ended up in the hospital for a week because his numbers dropped so much. Then his sodium wouldn't go back up. We were like, every kid's sick in October anyways.
Yeah.
So now we're there for the rest of like when my family's in town.
I feel like that's like kickoff season for sick.
Absolutely.
It's like you start in October and you don't end till May.
Yeah, exactly. We got a little bit of October through May in our throats.
Yeah, seriously.
So we're back at it. And I hate being in the hospital. It was always so hard. It was the endocrinologist that would bug me because now they're micromanaging his DI medication again because they can't just like give you meds. And it would just piss me off because now they're trying to like have us dehydrate him again. And I was so over that.
Yeah, I bet.
But, from that point on, every single round of chemo was a little bit different. There were times like the next one that we came home, he threw up for 12 hours straight. It was an extremely challenging 12 hours. John was out of town. My mom, like, they were like, what do we do? Like, do you need to go back in? I'm like, I know we don't. Like, my mama instincts, like, no, I just need to know how to manage this. So I was trying to get his meds in before he would throw it up because it will only sit in your system for so long. So I'm like trying to balance, like, when can I give him anti-nausea and his like DI medication before he ralphs it up? And then I just got really, really good at catching puke and a lot of puke bags for 12 hours, 30 minutes on the dot, barf.
Really?
Yep. And he was so cute, you guys. He'd like, kind of like when Caston wakes up and he's like, I wake up.
Yeah.
I waked up.
Yeah.
He'd like barf everything. He's like, I feel better.
Oh.
And then we just like would play for a little bit and then
get that joy in for a good 20 minutes.
Yep. And then go right back to it.
Oh.
So then right after that is when we went to see the specialist in Texas, and we flew Southwest, and we told them the conditions. I guess and I learned later that they do have private agencies like Angel Flight or something that will fly families like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know yet, and we just needed to get there.
Yeah.
And they like cleared the back of the plane for us.
Oh.
They're like, you know what? This isn't a full flight. We'll keep the last 12 rows so you guys can be at the very back of the plane. Who knows if that even supported it, but it made my heart feel like
100%
better.
Yeah.
We've just been hospitalized so many times.
No kidding.
So
and a plane is like a petri dish, I feel like no matter
awful.
All
the things.
So here you are just taking your little dude on the plane.
Yep. And
that was supportive. Thanks, Southwest.
That's the last time I saw him wear clothes. Before he started wearing footsie pajamas. So then he settled into like a lot of different feeling things like soft pillows, soft blankets, footy pajamas, solid color, don't put designs on it. And because I think the patch, he didn't like the little patch on it. I'm not sure. So we wore footy pajamas for the next year, 13 months through the summer, you guys, camping,
those
everything.
fleece footy pajamas.
Yeah, they had to be fleece. They couldn't be cotton. Nope, had to be fleece. Started trying to like cut the feet out of him to like trick him. He's like, Mom, the feet are gone. Or like cut the arms off. He's like, these are awful, trying to pull it. He couldn't talk, but that's what his brain was saying.
You communicate with your baby. You know what he's saying.
He knew a little bit something about it.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
That was kind of, like the kickoff to the healing part of our journey. And the next scans that we did, we saw that the tumors were getting smaller and it was working. And then we got to minimize our chemo after about 6 months so that we would go, I don't even remember. It was less. I just know that it was less. And then the following October, so right after he turned 3, we did his scans. And then that's when baby Whitten John got to ring the bell. Our little freaking warrior.
Wow.
And by this time, you guys, he owns Children's Hospital. Everybody on the oncology ward, and I don't know, they probably just love all of their kids so much. I'm sure
they do,
you know? But we would go and he'd get his blood work and he would always want to take it in. So he'd, put his own blood in, or he'd push his own amend or like different drugs into his line. And he's like dropping it off. Aww. So he had just built such a cool relationship, and they do this big thing where everybody comes. Oh man, I wish that we would been people to be in that space. But we do like a little train where everybody's clapping and he runs up and he's so short he can't ring the bell, right? So we put him on a chair to try to ring it, but then he couldn't pull it right. It was tricky. And we've gone back since then, for his regular visits where he's gone over. He's like, "There's my bell." He's got different things. I'm gonna ring it. Bell. I'm like, "Babe, you don't get to just ring the bell every time you're here." But
maybe
you do.
Yeah, because first of all, his is never ending. So every time he shows up and he doesn't have any tumors, he should ring that damn bell.
You know what? You're right.
Because it could. You know what? With this, with any, I'm sure it could come back at any moment. So. Go on and ring that bell, Whitten.
That right there, Megan, is where it's I've been in this new space of life of really trying to balance being present and being productive, being in servitude, and all of the different pieces, but also just acknowledging so we've had one clear scan since then. So we did that just this last October, and then we get to go in again next October. And it's a consistent celebration that we get to do life a normal way, and whatever normal is, but it pushes you into this different space of parenting, of being, of patience, And sometimes, we talk about the guys, how they're like, watch how we parent. And you parent very similar to me without going through all of that. And I think we can like support each other in that. But like my patience level is probably going to be a little bit higher because I'm like, you know what? He's not barfing all night. I'm not in the hospital getting chemo. Like it really checks what you're whining and bitching about.
Totally. Your extremes are so far from each other that you really know a deep, dark level to a really bright light space.
Yeah.
So for you to like live on that higher space, it's higher than maybe other people's because you have the extreme, what's the word where it's
pendulum swing kind of.
Or like you get to know the major difference of those two things. So, and hopefully by you sharing and talking about things like this, that you can bring some of that extreme for other people to kind of have a perspective in that, where maybe, so hopefully they don't ever have to go through such an extreme to say every day really is a gift. Every day really is a present.
Yeah.
That's why it's the presence.
That's
because it is a gift to be here and be able to share this with people so that they don't have to go through such extremes to find daily gratitude.
100%. Like that's so, I think just like that one of my major missions has been lately is to share from my experiences, not to have people woe for me or feel sorry for me, but instead from a space of you don't have to go through that, but you can take some of the lessons and be like, you know what? Yeah, my kid spilled a tub of protein powder this morning and that's okay. Like that just happened. And I have had many people reach out and share that as their takeaway of like, you know what, sometimes I think it can like sound a little off. Like when I think my life sucks, I just think about yours and I'm much better. But they say it from like such a space of love.
And where you want them to say it from.
Absolutely, because that's why I'm sharing.
Exactly. That's why you're doing this, so that they can feel that way.
Yeah, because perspective reveals miracles. And then you realize that that's not that big of a deal. And to just ground yourself in that.
And then you find what is a big deal is having a healthy kid.
Oh my gosh.
And picking them up and squeezing them and loving them and just being able to share every single little moment with all the people that you love who are here and healthy, because we've also, just talked about that and losing people that you love anyways, no matter what. Yeah. And here you got your little baby, your little 1 in a million.
My little 1 in a million warrior.
Yep.
And I think about the healthy piece. Like, so Megs and I, we talk a lot about this podcast, and it's going to be the #1 podcast, and we just want to inspire so many people. And as I make my wish every time I go over the railroad track, I'm like, all of this, but like in my heart of heart, I know, or sometimes I just remind universe and the God, like health is #1. Like we'll do this for fun till we're blue in the face. Like if we just have a healthy, like, I mean, and I know we can overcome adversity, but that's our #1.
Yep.
Is health. He's ready. Yep. Let's have him wrap it up with us.
Yep.
You done?
Come here.
I feel like we're in a good space.
I think so too.
Guys, thanks for listening to my story today. Caston's going to help us close it out today.
Yep. Say thank you, Auntie Cal.
Thank you, Auntie Cal.
Thank you for sharing your story with us today.
I love you, Caston. Thank you for letting Mommy share with me today. Thank you for...
Mommy.
Do you want to say I love your guts first?
Oh my God.
I love your guts.
Love your guts.
We love you guys so much.
Love you so much. Till next time.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye. You did it.
Thanks for joining, and don't forget to subscribe and, of course, share with your friends. Guys, that's how we impact more lives. All right, see you next time.
Good morning, sunshine. Mamie, Mimo, monkey butt. How now? Brown cow.